Hello and welcome everyone to another Nature Mystic Thursday. We have Melissa back. She's back from her travels, getting all kinds of fun gemstones and things for us from Sedona. And we're
Tucson.
having an open discussion today because we did not pick a topic. So like any question is fair game. And we're going to take a moment just to do some maintenance stuff, make sure all of our streams are public. So if you're a dedicated watcher of our show here, please take a moment to share the stream. That would be a great time to do it. And then we go and make this public. And
Yeah.
last week, Zane hopped on with me. I was doing it by myself, and Zane's like, "Hey, I got some free time if you want me to hop on." And it was a really good, spontaneous conversation with Zane, so it worked out really nicely.
Nice. Yeah, I need to call and verify, but the pallet of the rocks is supposed to be delivered sometime tomorrow.
Ooh.
And I say I need to verify only because in previous years, with this company that I used, like I get this fun little tracking link and it says estimated, and then there's this cute little graphic and this little bitty truck that moves across the US day by day. And ever since they picked this pallet up on Friday, that truck has not moved. It says it's still sitting in Tucson.
Uh-oh.
So a phone call is being made. Like it says it's here tomorrow, but unless you guys have hyperwarp drive and
Maybe the guy forgot
wormholes,
his phone,
yeah.
maybe.
Um, yeah, Amy, I just updated that. Twitch never lets me update that until after we're live for some reason. So I can update the info, and as soon as we go live, it will automatically put the last description. It's weird. I don't know why it does that. So I just fixed it.
Yeah. One thing I got in the habit of doing the last couple of times is just let's take a moment to open space to honor the tradition. So just calling out to Mother Earth, Pachamama, Ompli, 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 bring your healing here. Ahaya Mama Unu, Mother Water, Wadakasumek Mama Kia, Ompli, 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 bring your healing here. Ahaya Taiwantan Wairakuna to the four winds, Ompli, 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 bring your healing here. Ahaya Inti Taita, Father Son, Ompli, 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 bring your healing here. Ahaya Quichi, Quichi Kuna, Ompli, 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 to the rainbow, bring your healing here. And finally, Wirakocha, Ompli, 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 to Creator, the container that holds it all, bring your healing here. All right, good to go.
Woo-woo.
So, and again, today is like open discussion. So we had nothing planned. We were just kind of touching base a little bit beforehand because Melissa did go to this huge gem show. And one thing, if you get into this tradition, like you can find your stones out in nature. Of course, my initial mesa was all stones I found in nature, but I switched some out, and there's things like my ancestor piece. Just as an example, I have this. I always forget what these are called. What is this? Yeah, those. This is like my ancestor stone, and there's like just sometimes there's stones that are just especially good for certain things. Like I have a Herkimer diamond that I use as my vision crystal. So if you're thinking about this tradition, you kind of had an idea of some of the stones that we may be using. Like maybe it's a good little ones to have on your mesa. Good morning, Anthony. Good day, fellow Paco Wakuchai. There's he. Cool picture too, by the way. I have that same hat. Fedora.
You are not required to have that hat to be in the program.
No, hats are fun.
Yeah. There are a lot of traditions, though, where head coverings are a must, but this tradition, not so much. You wear what you want. What you feel
I did read, like, they have this one hat that has, like, these flaps that come down, and I read a book once. Well, let me preface it. I was reading this book and it felt really good. And then I had this dream, and the Pacos came to me in the dream, and they're like, "We said that, we didn't say that, we said that, didn't say that," and then I kind of confirmed with Zane, like the book I was reading, it was like something that happened overseas, and they had a translator, but the translator wasn't really all that knowing of Quechua, so there was a lot of gaps or like indulgences in the information. And the one in particular that stood out, they said, "Oh, when the shamans have the flaps down, that means they're on duty and you can approach them. But if they have their flaps up, that means they're on a break and you can't go up to them." And they're like, "We didn't say that." And Zane confirmed that. Yeah, right. It's just like, it's kind of fun though. That that you can, if you're really tuned in, you might be reading something like that and you'll get that information in a dream that, yeah, not quite really what we were saying there, but they were well intended, but that's not what we said.
No, it means my ears are cold.
Yeah, these are
Or
cool.
feeling a little warm today, so they're up. Really? Come on.
Right, or that was true of one little Paco, and it's like not really a thing because each village really is different. Everybody does things differently. They might even call in the different nature spirits differently. Like if you live by the ocean, you'll call in Mama Cocha first instead of Pachamama, and that's
Mhm.
fine. In the four winds, they do Wiracocha where we do wind, and it's just like a lot of different variations. But they don't make it a wrongness. They just look at, oh, you do it differently. Why is that? And then they say that the gold is in the difference, and they don't relate away. Well, you do it differently. They don't make it wrong, but if you do it the same, they don't take that for granted. So it's a thing where they really look at all the information and don't take anything for granted. Everything can stand on its own.
Yes. So for new friends coming in, because I see the numbers kind of changing, it's open question day, open format.
Oh yeah.
So if you've had any questions, if you've watched past videos and you're like, I want to know about, or you guys have an address, feel free. Questions, comments are welcome. So yeah, we're kind of at your mercy. What you want to ask about the shaman practice, the Paco shaman practice.
Yep.
We don't know everything about all shaman practices, so
But if we don't know something, we know someone that probably does.
we might know somebody. We'll get back to you. We'll
Yeah,
take a
and
note of
somebody might be stalking comments right now.
it. Knowing Zane, he probably is.
Yeah, that's what happened. Like last time he came in about 15 minutes in, and then he saw, oh, he's by himself. Maybe he wants some company, and it turned into a really good conversation. And if you're new to this, Paco just means nature mystic. And in Peru, Paco Cuna, nature mystics. It's like plural. Cuna makes things plural, and it's the Zane's particular tradition, which is the Katari tradition of cross-cultural mysticism or shamanism, is a blending of different traditions from like the coastal regions and the mountain regions. It's like the Inkari tradition, the Westcar tradition, and several other lineages that is kind of put together and blended, and it's really beautiful. And Zane is also one. His original nonprofit was a Sokai Munai Ayu. Hopefully, I finally got the pronunciation right. And it was a thing dedicated to preserving, like as close to possible, like the original ways. So, like when you learn from Zane, you're getting as close to the unbroken tradition as you can. That being said, it's a living tradition. It changes for the times, and it is changing big time to meet where humanity is today. But it's a great foundational thing where you're getting a lot of like how it was back in the day up in the mountain before the Spanish came in for a little bit. Well, I think I kind of already answered the question. Can we talk about the origins of the path?
Mhm.
The origins of the path as we know it today, what the unbroken lineage, I forget the name, the anthropologist, but he was in Cusco and he's looking at one of these Caro that is down trading their cloth, and the type of cloth that they had, it was woven in a way that hadn't been done in a really long time, like one of those back looms. And they still make it this way today. And he talked to them, and it was a very old style of Quechua. And he found these Caro that had come down from the mountains that went up and they were running from the Spanish, not running from the Spanish. They went up on the mountains because the Spanish with altitude sickness really couldn't go up that high, and it kind of got them away from all the things that were happening when the Spanish came in. And they would just come down every once in a while to trade their cloths, get their cocoa leaf, get their rice and potatoes and that type of thing. And once they realized that these villages existed, they went on an expedition and they kind of rediscovered this unbroken lineage. So like the Inca lineage was up in the mountains, and that is a big foundation for our practice. But then there's a whole bunch of other ones too. Like Zane's tour guide, when he went, he did a despacho, and he did it in such a way that his guide was so moved that his guide said, "Hey, I don't tell everybody this, but I'm a Paco." And he held a very particular lineage and became one of Zane's teachers. So that's just like two little parts of it. But Zane went from all different regions and things, and has different teachers from different areas of Peru, and that's where all this blending has come from. Oscar Del Prado, yes, there we go. Thank you. I do not know names and faces that well. I forget them very easily. So I'm glad people are here to keep me on my toes.
I am one of those like names, unless there's a face attached to it, I forget them. and they get jumbled. So I've at one point asked Zane, and if he's listening while doing what he does, it's like, can we get a family tree?
He did it once.
Down.
He's never drawn it out, but there's been times where we have some of his openings recorded that he really goes through. Like when we do Quichi, the rainbow, after that there's like the space where you call in all these different things, including the lineage, and he'll name all the teachers, and there's like this huge list.
Yeah, that's why I want a tree.
You can just be like, Wilken Nun Paco Ayu, like the sacred soul hoop of Pacos. You could do maybe. I think that would be my broken Quechua way of saying, and all the lineage people. It's intention that drives it anyway. My
Zane and his gang is how we're going to refer.
Zane and his gang, that I like. And I call Zane in when I do openings. I'll say Don Zano, because we have this idea that you don't have to be in spirit. You don't have to have lost your body to be able to be called upon. There's like a I don't want to. I believe Zane has used the word shadow. It's like a shadow aspect, or it's a part of your consciousness that you can call upon, and you may consciously be aware of it or not, but you can call Zane, or I could call on Tony. There was one time where a client had something going on, and I'm like, I don't have the medicine for this, but I know Casey does. And I tapped in and I call it, hey, Hatanuma Casey, like hire yourself a Casey, and brought him in, and just like kind of blacked out for a little bit. And it worked out just fine. And Casey had done the same thing. He had some technology thing that he had to do for a website, had no clue how to do it, and did the same thing. And like he comes through, and like whatever it was done, but he didn't remember it. So you can pull in your teacher and have them do things for you or through you rather than for you, which I think is kind of cool.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be people in this tradition. So if you have teachers like a Reiki teacher or some other type of teacher, you can call them in at that point too. So, which I have done. So, I mean, this is such a flexible tradition that you can honor anybody and everybody, all parts of you, and who and where you've learned them from. Very
as people get comfortable with everything, when we do the openings and things, everybody's doing their own, and you just hear this overlapping of all these Pachamama, Sachamama, and like all these different things. And when you get to Quichi, everybody's doing their own jam and calling in their guides, their angels, their teachers, their Pacarinas and Ituapus, with the like your godparents, the masculine and feminine nature spirits of your place of emergence. And everybody's just doing their own thing. It feels a little chaotic. That's when Melissa kind of is like, I kind of want to run out of the room right now. That's more when it's like, especially if there's a lot of different rattles and things going on.
Yeah, that little bit of like Kuichi, isn't horrid, because most people are doing that kind of quietly to themselves. They're not yelling it into the room. It's when we get into the rhythm and the drumming and everything else, and everybody's doing their own thing. I'm like, no, me, myself, and I, we're going to leave the chaotic, noisy room. And go where it is much quieter.
So let us know, guys. And Tony, thank you for the questions and the nudging of giving us some place to go with our conversation. But if you have questions or comments, and it really can be about anything. If you have a question about something going on in your life, chances are we can answer with something relevant from this tradition, or anything else for that matter. There's always ways to weave it back and bring it back to the Paco Kuna tradition.
Yeah, if you're a student thinking of taking it, and maybe you're a little nervous or you want to know about something, feel free to ask. I mean, I still get excited every time we're getting ready to do it. I get to add another binder to the library that is Zane's knowledge. I get a different colored folder or binder each year, so I can kind of remember which year was what and what we learned in what order.
And a couple streams ago, if you want to hear like Zane's story, at least you get part of it. Every time I hear his story, it's a little different, and he goes over different parts. But we have a whole stream where Zane kind of talked about how he was called to the tradition through a little bit of things coming through him in dreams and following the energy to find a particular healing technique. And all of that is in a stream. It's also in his book. Zane is the author of Inka Mountain Magic. We should have a copy of his book so we can show it right now, but we don't. But do you? Oh, well. Very good. Maybe. But he's the author of Inka Mountain Magic. And that's
Oh,
I was looking for
please.
someone to teach on chumpy
You mean
stones.
this
And
one? This one right
there
here?
you go. There it is. Inka Mountain Magic.
Because I do carry copies in the stores. And you have copies, right?
I have signed copies even if people want a signed
So
copy.
yeah, so Inka Mountain Magic, we got it. It's on our website, goddesselite.com.
Yep.
Mine's a little beat up, and I don't like that as a book owner.
Speaking of, let me post the link for that, and I'll put it up on the comment. Like, if you are interested, actually, in the description of the video, I believe I have the links to both my website and Melissa's that has more information. But you can, let's see, where do I want to do it?
And honestly, it's a good, easy read. You're not going to be overwhelmed. He's not talking down to you. In a way, it's almost like you're listening to him talk, but like you're having a conversation just in written form with him and how he explains. So he did a really good job of explaining in depth without getting so lost in minute details that you're just like, I don't care, or now I'm lost, or I feel like I'm being talked down to. So it's a really good book. The other one, because Zane, this is one of his friends and co-teachers, I believe. Is this the one in my bag?
Fourth level?
No, I thought this was one of Elizabeth's books, but this is
Fourth level is Elizabeth.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
This is a Living Energy, Joe and Precy Wilcox.
Yeah, but that is another one. Like, a lot of the same teachers, not all the same teachers, but Elizabeth Jenkins is one of his sisters on the path, and she wrote a book called The Fourth Level. And it's interesting because it's like, you kind of get a few different nuances having a masculine teacher versus feminine, and just more information. And all the books are good. I encourage, if you take the program or not, like, dive into some of the books, especially Zane's, because it's very practical. And my favorite is in the back, it has a glossary and it has all the Quechua terms, because if you are like me, you just love the language. All right. And I did post Zane has, I think it hasn't started yet, maybe I should go to the website and find out. In fact, I will do that. He has a 2-week taster class for $47, and the big thing that he has talked about is that this class stands on its own. It's not like giving you a little information and then to make use of it, you have to go forward. If you choose it, whatever you learn in that information stands on its own, even if you take nothing else. And that's at a 2-week class, and it's $47, and I posted it. And now I'm on the site to see when it actually starts. It's the enrollment closes in 5 hours and 14 minutes. So I guess today is it. If you want to do that, it probably starts tomorrow, because this is the last day to start sign up. So no
and this
pressure.
is one that you can take from wherever. So,
yeah.
And if because of a time difference you can't be live with them, you can watch at a later time. One thing I did find, just a little side note, in this book, there are a lot of pictures, and since we mentioned Del Prado, like if you ever want to see what he looks like, that's him. And the author of this book is here. And then all of the little Pacos he was talking to and learning from. So you can get faces and, see genuinely who the teachers were passing down this tradition. And this one, I will say, she goes into a pretty good, because it's almost interview style with these Pacos of how and why and what we do and why we do and the understanding of it. And there's a good part in here if you are coming from a more heavily Christian background and you're trying to justify, like, the conversation she has with them, about crossing that Catholicism over and how and why. And they're like, oh, that works for you. This works for us. And they both work. So why not work together? And, it was a really interesting conversation, having, been a recovering Catholic myself. So, it's a very interesting book, a little more in depth than Zane's, but she was writing this one for quite a while and processing a lot of information. So, hey, Ren.
Yeah. Well, and Zane is in the tail end, hopefully, of his new book, and that's been a decade in process. So there will be a more in-depth book by Zane, hopefully in the near future. And when I just want to mention too, since I had mentioned was reading a book and there Carol came to me and said that we didn't say that is not the book I was talking about. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
particular book I don't recommend to anyone. So that will never be recommended on by me. In Zane's book, he also has a picture of him and Juan. That his teacher. There's all kinds of cool little pictures in Zane's books too of his teacher and his god. I think, does that one have his picture of him and his god kids? Because he was so honored in Peru, when one of the villages, they actually made him the godfather of one of their daughters, and one of the things you get to do as a godparent there is name the child. So he got to name the child and kind of get married into the village, which was kind of cool, or is cool.
And I do carry this one
Cool.
in store and I believe online too. So Masters of Living Energy. It's a really good book. Probably need to sit down and go back through that one again. It's been a minute. All the books that I read, there's not enough time in the world to read all the things.
Especially you. You're always having a book or two in the works.
I mean, sitting there reordering things that we were low and almost out of this morning before the live. And then, you can click on, see more relevant titles or see titles by this publisher. And I'm like, ooh, new. Order. Like, yep, because there's all the time in the world to read those too.
Maybe one thing that you could do, I know you have a live stream, I don't know how often, with book reviews, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Why not do some of these books and give people a little bit more of an in-depth review of some of them?
I think I have at least the Inka one before Zane's book. But we can always do it again, just the shaman books.
Yeah, that would be a cool thing. And then kind of tie it in with the upcoming class and give information about it.
Yeah.
How did your live stream go with your book review? There was like one thing you had asked about that they were referencing, like a Caro thing, and you asked Zane about it. How did that go? If you want to talk about it.
The animal one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Did I even mention it? The book I did. I'm trying to remember if I mentioned the questionable aspect in it. I may have skipped that animal or that paragraph about that said animal just because I was like, I don't know how I feel about that one to talk about it in a positive way. So we'll just gloss over that part. I'd actually have to go back and watch it on YouTube. Hey, Sean. Because all of the book reviews are still live on our well, not live, but they're on YouTube. So our Twitch, like, things only live for 2 weeks and then they disappear. So if you like books and you're looking for new to you type of spiritual type of books, you can go see what I and Sandy have talked about. And then some of my employees will find their own favorite. And we've done some quick reviews on other titles too. So sorry about that sound. My Discord is going insane on one of my 47 tabs that I can't easily see to close down. But yeah, we could do a shaman book review of ones that we like, because Elizabeth Jenkins has at least 2 or 3. Joan Parisi, I think this might be her one. I do not remember. I'd have to go check, but if she's got more, we'll have to grab it and be like, here's another one. Zane hopefully will have his second coming out soon.
Yeah. What about Joan Wilcox? That's another one I think I've heard Zane mention before, more of a modern approach. But
that's her, Joan Parisi Wilcox.
Okay.
So
you know what? I totally missed that. Was the title or the author? All right. Well, yeah, that's not the book I was thinking of, though. Obviously. So. So embarrassing. It's like I wasn't paying attention, but I totally was.
Come back to earth, Hank. Come back to earth. I'm assuming that Sean's talking about your shirt.
This one? I hope so. I don't know. Melissa's shirt's pretty cool. Kind of has the Jack Daniels look, but it's totally for Goddess Lead. I'm waiting for her to give me a hoodie so I can advertise her on our live streams,
You know how many people stopped me at the gem show wearing this? They're like, oh, wait, no, I still like that. And I'm like, thanks. That was the whole point of having it made. You have a lot of pink. What's the rest on your shirt there, Hank?
What? That's flamingos.
Flamingos?
Okay. Palm trees and stuff.
Because the top of one almost looks like it would be, you're right, I think, like almost the top part of a skull, which would make it cooler. Your hand was just covering that part. But because skulls are cooler than flamingos, but still look cool.
I have skull shirts too. I just didn't wear. I have like at least 5 different Hawaiian shirts with with skulls on them.
Have you seen that video online where people take pink flamingo long decor and they paint them black and they make them look like vultures?
No, I haven't. That sounds cool though.
That's the only way I would use a pink flamingo. I would have
So
to get
when
my
you're,
skills out.
are you going to do another live stream this year for your crystal skulls that you got from the show with like a dating thing?
Oh, the Tinder profiles for the skulls,
Well, I don't
maybe.
know, like anything. Like I can come and wear my fun crystal shirts and stuff like that. And speaking of crystal skulls, I do have my one big here. This is my little Melissa got acquired this for me. Thank you so much from one of the people.
Single and ready to flamingo.
Single and ready for me. That's good.
There's 5 I think of, and I know Sean saw him online. It's the Indian bloodstone skull, and he has a name, Jeff. Obviously a fan of what we do in the shadows. But there's like, I think 4 more that size, all different stones, one of which that I remember is jade. So a green jade skull coming in that size. There's a few smaller ones coming. So thank you. When I got mine redone, I'm like, honey, they look good from a distance, but I beat the hell out of these down at the gem show. So these got redone when I got back with the intent of Evil Eye.
Oh, that's cool. I'm making an elaborate, though they are gel, so it stays and it matches my shirt kind of.
I'm trying to get used to the fact this is the most color I probably ever wear. So at times I still look down and go, oh, those are my hands. So there will be more skulls coming up, and as things get unpacked and the tables laid out, we'll be posting uploads. And I've held off on some of our evening lives where we would show you guys new things, because when I was in Tucson, the Airbnb, great photography. They made the place look way bigger than it was, so there really wasn't room to set up to do a live. So probably next Thursday in the evening is when we're going to do the live, starting to show all the things. The pellet is due to arrive tomorrow sometime, and I have to call and verify this because it says estimated delivery tomorrow, as it should, but that little truck icon is still sitting in Tucson. So a phone call is going to happen today and verify. Maybe they have a wormhole. I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, so, some of the jewelry in some really nice blue, like Smurf blue and like royal purple fluorite came in my suitcase with me, and some jewelry. But the majority will come off a pallet tomorrow, and we'll start unwrapping and pricing and putting out and just kind of showing things. So as pictures are going, feel free to like screenshot, circle, and be like, do you still have this? How much? Because we've done that too before lives.
You have to keep Anya away from seeing that. Last time, the labradorite table, she like fell in love with, and we have a whole bunch of these huge labradorite spheres that we brought last time.
I have a lot of purple labradorite.
Anya, if you're watching this, you need to stop now. Don't listen to this part of their stream.
So
I know she's
the purple and pink, and I'm like, you can get blue, green, gold all day long. I want purple. I want pink. So snatch some of those up. One of them already sold. Like I just took a picture of one, put it up. Somebody was like, how much I want. So there are more, but different sizes and shapes, little palm stone size. There are some nice kyanite pieces, including that big one. And I can't wait to show that one live if it makes it to the live, because it's like, I call it the kyanite baby, because this thing is about 10 pounds and it's solid. And what's unique about this is it naturally has ruby growing. So if you go back and look at those pictures and those little red dots, those are ruby that have occurred on the kyanite.
Christine just said she just
So,
married and turned around. It's
so,
dangerous talking about crystals.
yeah, those on the pallet ideally tomorrow and hopefully early. I told him they can deliver between 12 and 6. He better not show up at 5:30. Like show up at 12:05. So we'll see. But like I said, a phone call has to happen because that little truck icon is still sitting in Tucson. Makes me very not excited.
Oh, fingers crossed that it all works out for you.
But if during those lives you guys are like, I'm thinking of taking the apprenticeship, what stone would be good for this, that, the other thing, I can answer that for you. Because like I personally use kyanite as my Pachamama stone. And like my ancestor serpent stone is stromatolite because it's the oldest type of carbon on Earth ever. So for me, that's fitting for ancestor, right? So
And that being said, you also can just find your stones in nature. That's how my original mesa was built, and then over time it turned into something else. And then I have more than one mesa. And you'll if you get into this, like there's some people that have 3 mesas, but you can make it as complex or simple as you'd like.
yeah. I have 2. Well, I have 1. The store has 1. So I am the keeper and then the maintenance person for the store's mesa.
Yeah.
So technically I have 2 on mine.
I got my little Kintu mesa. I have a Yanantan mesa at home. And then I have my Humpek mesa, which means healer's mesa. And that one I made all skulls. So I have, when I open that up, all the different stones are all skulls. And then if people want to pick skulls, then it tells me a little bit of something about what kind of healing they need. So you kind of use your mesa to do a reading in a way and know where you want to go with the healing session. So all that kind of stuff we talk about in the program. Fun stuff. Speaking of which, if you have questions, comments, let us know.
Yeah. Being
We're
too
also
easy.
happy just to shoot the shit as we are doing, as you can tell.
I think one of these days we should plan a live together and have both of the mesas like mine and yours set up. And so you can see the differences and the similarities of how like each one can be personalized.
Well, that's something we'll talk about a little bit after the stream too, because I do a healing clinic and I'm shifting that a little bit. I have to talk to Melissa first before I say when that will be, but it's going to be the entire big mesa spread set up. And then on that day, you can book like a little 15-minute healing session. And on that day, we could do a stream and you could set yours up too. And since I'll have my whole thing at the store, that might be a great time to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
Or you'll have yours wherever you're at and we can live stream and then I'll just stream from the room that I have the mesa. I think I have a picture of, here's a picture of one of my mesas. Mm-hmm. And this is one I built for like when Zane was in California and he kept like flying in and he didn't bring his mesa. I had enough class where I started building what I would call a community mesa. So this wasn't just mine. This was intended for the group. And so that's a little thing. And they don't have to be elaborate. This elaborate, it could just be a single cloth. It's kind of ironic. The very first year, our brother Brian, you would think that this guy, based on everything you know about him, would have like this huge mesa spread, but his was like on a little itty bitty handkerchief, the little itty bitty stones. It was like the smallest little cute mesa. You could fly it around with the drone if you wanted to, and I'm sure he did.
But I can see him doing this. Yeah.
But the point being, it doesn't have to be complicated. If you get into it and you're teaching, then you might get a little bit more elaborate. But really, we had Mike one time. He just had a towel that he would use. He had an old towel he got from home, and he used that for his mesa cloth. So like this tradition is a lot of like you be practical, use what you got.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I remember Zane like always walking around and like looking at everybody's and just admiring. Mm-hmm. Never did he say yours is wrong. He's when I asked him about it, he's like, you can always see the personality, and as the apprenticeship goes, he can watch the morph as the person changes, learns, and grows in it, and how the mesa changes. So as I say that, I'm looking at mine, I'm like, it hasn't really changed much in a couple of years. So
Well, since I moved out of the space, I don't have mine set up all the time. So like mine, I just have the big spread that lives in a box, and I set it up when I do an event like what I'll do at Gotta Sleep or for my sound bath. But even that, my sound bath, my room is so small, I can't do the big spread like I used to do. So I condense it down to just usually a single cloth with a white cloth on top of it and go really basic.
Well, and one of our students, like hers was on a tray.
Yeah.
Bring it in and then set it on the floorboard of her car and drive to and from home and then pick it up and carefully carry it in. So, yeah.
Oops. Just realized I lost my little, there we go. Our little frame is back.
So yeah, guys, if you have questions about anything with the apprenticeship at all, feel free to ask. We didn't really have a topic because my first time being back after Tucson and running around like crazy since coming back. And I literally messaged Hank, I think at like 7:00 this morning, like, what's our topic? It's Thursday. I'm like, yeah, about that. You know what? Open question and answer is good. I am unprepared. So.
And highly recommend the last 2 weeks, especially while Melissa's been gone. 1 week I played a pre-recorded video Zane had given us, and that video was amazing. And then last week at the beginning, it's just me talking, but Zane then hopped on and we had a really amazing discussion. So the last 2 weeks, especially if you want to go watch it in the replay, either on YouTube or whenever Facebook's, I highly recommend those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What was it, 3 weeks ago when he joined? It was the three of us.
Oh yeah, but he's on live too. That was really good too.
Yeah.
I
should make a bias because I can listen to Zane like teach for hours and be just fine.
In time for our next stream, I will make a playlist of just the episodes where we have Zane on, and we could refer to that in the future. Like here, you can go have a taste of Zane. Mm-hmm. Or if you want to do that, one of us can do that, and we can make that playlist. And
who? What?
Okay, that means I'm going to do it.
What do you see my plate and all the things on my plate? And that being said, like probably a year or so ago, year and a half maybe, like on the store's YouTube is Zane and I talking.
That was leading into his Misa services, right? You had like a couple of live streams. Those are
really but I mean, he touches into all parts of the practice and everything. So
it's a good live stream when you plan to do it for 30 minutes and Zane's still going 2 hours in, and you're like, this is amazing. Like there's just it just keeps coming and coming, and it's all.
He said not to let him go on, and you're like, we are past that. But do you want to stop him?
And it's almost tomorrow. Maybe we want to do another one. Because I remember that because it was like during German school, like it started before German school 1 year, and then we were leaving, and it's still on. It was like, oh my gosh, they're still going. It was a really good conversation.
I think the 45 minutes to an hour top turned into almost 2 on one of those. So, he likes to talk about it, and he's not like, you can't know that. So, to where sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, and wrap. It's like saying you have things to do, sir.
Well, I think part of it is once he gets in the flow, like he says, stay in the flow, not the no. And once there's like something that shifts, and then he's like really kind of channeling it in a way, and he's just like, and out it comes.
Yeah.
Any final questions, guys?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we can still say, but it's kind of quiet, so I mean, we don't want to force you to hear us talk about nothing. So we'll just say questions if you have a question or a comment. Otherwise, we'll wrap up a little bit early here.
And discuss the change on your schedule that you've hinted at. Surprise.
Yep.
Surprise for you, surprise for me. See what I come back to? All sorts of change.
Yeah. I didn't mean I was going to talk to you, and then like you noticed ahead of time, and you're like, "Hey, what's up with that?" I'm like, "Oh, I was going to talk to you after the stream, but like we can talk a little bit before the stream."
Right. But yeah, if nobody has any more questions, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up. and get ready for the day. Now, this is the part where we say Hank is local, but he is Zoom today, not
Yes.
in the store.
Yes.
Hence
Part of
when
that is my computer has a boo-boo and it cannot move. And so it's stuck here at my office. If I'm not at my office, I cannot work on anything now, which is good in a way because I was doing a lot of stuff from home and I would get dirty looks like you should be like paying attention to the kids or something. But now I only work when I'm at the office currently. So, which is a good thing. It's a good change. I take it as a blessing, even though I'm annoyed that my laptop can't close or be moved at the moment until I get it fixed.
Should have got a Mac.
Well, my computer had a physical injury, and it's a long story, but it resulted in it falling off of a table, not due to my action, due to somebody else's, and like it broke like the corner. So here's like a piece of my little hinge, right? And then over time it was fine, but then one day it just broke, and all of a sudden, if I touch the computer too much, the monitor doesn't work, and so I need to get it fixed. But like in the meantime, like I'm afraid to move it at all, and then not be able to do anything. So yeah, so it's a bittersweet thing.
This is what happens when you're left unsupervised. So about that.
Yeah, and I mean it was over a year that happened. It was like because it happened at the German PTA meeting, so it wasn't this year; it was the year before. So it was over a year and a year and a couple months since the original injury. It just got progressively worse, I guess, and then all of a sudden it's just like, meh.
It is tired of hanging in there.
Right. Well, I will go ahead and close space. Last call for questions as I do that. Iari Pachamama, Nike Kawaiki Pachamama, Nike Kawaiki Mama Unu, Mama Kia, Nike, 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 Nike Kawaiki Taiwantan Waira Kuna, Nike, 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 Nike Kawaiki Inti Taita, Nike, Nike, Nike. Ahaya, Kuichi Kuna, Nike Kawaiki, Iari Wirakocha, Nike, 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 Arpichai Sonkolai. Very good.
I am.
And you can push the button when you're ready because we found out that if we both push the button to end the stream at the same time, it boots people out. And so that's always interesting.
Yeah, massive like.
I always thought Melissa was just in a hurry and she was hanging up on me, but I threw her out of the studio. But there was a piece I thought I was like, wow, Melissa, she doesn't want to talk anymore after the stream.
Tired of looking at your face, Hank. Bye. No. Go fit in there and stream.
I just thought you were like in a hurry and being a little rude. I didn't realize it was a tech thing.
Yeah, no.
Where did you tell me? Let me figure that out after a month of thinking I was getting hung up on.
Well, thanks for joining, guys. We will be back next week, same time, same channel, whatever you might be watching on.
With a topic this time.
Yes. So we look forward to seeing you guys all next week.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.